Today I've got two easy and delicious recipes for you using the star ingredient of the season, asparagus. British asparagus is absolutely the best in the world, but get it now while you can because it's only in season until Midsummer's Day, which is June 21st, and then it's no longer available. So, the first recipe is called asparagus with polenta crumb. So that involves a large bunch of asparagus. Choose medium to fat thickness for this recipe. I'm just gonna pop those on the board and cut off the ends, cut off the tips, and then cut the rest of the stems into pieces about 1 inch long. I'm going to pop all of these into a large bowl and drizzle in a little extra virgin olive oil, just enough to coat the pieces. Next, I'm going to mix together in a small bowl 1 tablespoon of ground almonds, 1 tablespoon of polenta, and about 20 grams of finely grated Parmesan cheese. Also a pinch of salt for good measure. Stir that together, and then add it to the bowl of asparagus. Give it a really good stir so that every piece is well coated with that Parmesan and polenta mixture. Over here, I've got a baking tray, and I've lined it with some non-stick foil, which is just the best invention ever. I'm just going to load this polenta crumbed asparagus directly onto the baking tray and just spread that out evenly. I'm gonna pop that in the oven now at 200 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. The next recipe is an asparagus and tofu miso scramble, which is actually perfect for breakfast. Tofu is really high in protein, and the miso sauce that goes with it is a beautiful complement to the taste of the asparagus. Again, a large bunch of asparagus, and we want to cut the ends off because they're very tough. And as previously, we'll cut off the tips. Then the middle stems, I'm going to cut into fairly thin slices, about 1/2 inch wide and on the diagonal so they look pretty. When your pan is nice and scorching hot, you want to add a tablespoon of coconut oil. And if there's anything left on your fingers, by all means, just rub that into your hands because it's the best hand cream ever. Add a pinch of salt, not too much, because the miso sauce is quite salty. Just stir fry for about 3 minutes until bright green, slightly tender, and a little bit charred in places. The asparagus comes out of the pan and onto a plate. And now we're going to cook the tofu. Put the pan back on a medium heat and add 1 more tablespoon of coconut oil. And then the tofu. I have 300 grams of firm tofu that I've drained and wrapped in a paper towel, which soaks up some of the excess moisture. And I'm just going to break this into the pan in fairly chunky kind of curds. We're going to cook it fairly slowly so that we cook out all of the moisture. Tofu is like a sponge. It just soaks up flavor. And we're gonna be adding this miso sauce later that it's going to just drink in. While the tofu is cooking, I'm going to make the miso sauce. And for that, I need miso. This one is a sweet white miso. There are lots of different types. There's dark miso, there's red miso. The white one has a very mild flavor and a real sweetness to it, as well as being salty. It's a fermented soybean paste, so it's very flavorful and very nutritious. So a couple of tablespoons of sweet white miso, and also a tablespoon of mirin, which is Japanese sweet cooking wine, and about a tablespoon of fresh lemon juice. And mix that all together until smooth. So once the tofu is lovely and golden brown all over and slightly crisp, I want to stir in about half of the miso sauce. I'm gonna stir that through, and the tofu, being sponge-like, is just gonna drink in all of that lovely sweet and sour and salty miso. Once most of that sauce has been absorbed, I'm going to bring my stir-fried asparagus back to the pan and just combine that and stir it until the asparagus has heated through, and then it will be ready to serve. Now, this serves 2 people generously, or 4 people as a side dish. You could also serve it with some noodles or rice. I'm gonna garnish this with some very finely sliced spring onions and a little bit of the remaining sauce, as well as some black pepper. And if you like, you could add some toasted sesame seeds and maybe a little cluster of fresh mustard and cress sprouts to finish it off. So here's the asparagus with polenta crumb, lovely and patched with gold. That is delicious served hot or warm. The asparagus and polenta crumb makes a delicious snack or side dish, and the asparagus and tofu miso scramble is a wonderful way to use asparagus, and also tofu. If you've never tried tofu, this might be the very dish to try for the first time. 2 fabulous ways to make the most of asparagus season.